True.
It's crazy that like 120 years ago, it was actually really difficult to become a great big fat guy.
Yeah.
So much so that if you got really fat, like people thought you were fucking awesome.
Yeah.
They would fist bump you if they saw you. They'd take pictures with you with the ones when you only get like one picture in your whole life.
There were sometimes in America where the fattest guy became the mayor every year. They'd have a big scale, and whoever was the fattest got a big top.
It was a
hat.
sign of wealth.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
If you were really fat, people just assumed you had a boat and like a bunch of suits.
Yeah.
There was fat guys clubs in New York. I don't know if you ever saw that photo from like 1903 in New York City.
I was just thinking there was like, it was called like the Big Men's Club.
Yeah. It's called like the gout room. I think gout used to be a sign of like it was only rich people got it.
Because the King's disease.
King's disease.
Right.
Yeah.
And they had like a secret handshake if you were in the club. You could be, it's just a handshake, but it sticks when you try to pull them
just
apart.
suck your fingers.
Like, that's a nice feel. Oh, that feels like
Yeah, you exchange whatever candy's stuck to your shirt in the handshake, like a bribe.
I wonder what the hell people did back then if they couldn't get pussy. Like, what the hell? Because now people just gaslight everybody into being like, no, I should get pussy, basically. They like construct the world on the internet where they're either like, no, actually, I get a ton of pussy, or they're like, no, actually, I should get the most pussy. Or they just like, they go lock and load, as they say.
Yeah, every man, as they grow up, they discover some elaborate ruse of a personality to get pussy.
Yeah.
And they, some people get really into like a Midwest emo band and they get laid that way, Some people get like, they really study hard at school and they get a finance job and then they get a hot wife that way.
Right.
Right.
I guess back in the day, you could be like, you could like enlist in like the Civil War.
Yeah.
And then you go like try to become a war hero just so you can finally get your dick sucked when you return home. So you can go in a barn somewhere and then lay back in a bale of hay and get sucked off.
Yeah, but your first day in battle, you're like a cannonball blows your dick off.
Right.
Yeah.
It's also the Civil War. There wasn't like great documentation for your heroics.
Yeah.
People are like, I guess.
Oh, because it's like, yeah.
Well, you gave
It's
yourself
all
the medal. You're like the only man standing because you hid.
Yeah, there's no video.
There's no
of it.
video.
Right.
There's-
You come out at the end of the battle, you're like, I've killed 80 guys.
I won. I won.
Yeah. We saw you crawling out of a hole, and then you just shoot that guy.
Yeah.
You're like, he killed himself
And you
because
take,
he's a coward.
You take his blood and you put it on you, and you act like, you really, you really did something out there.
Yeah, you're like, that was a red coat. That's his blood, not some guy I killed because he saw me crawling out of a hole in a field.
Can I say I do know? People always go, "Oh, dude, if I was in Nazi Germany, like I wouldn't have been a Nazi." Can I just say I know for a fact if I was in war, right? If I had to be enlisted, let's just say I was in the Southern Army.
Okay,
In
let's
this scenario-
just say
My lineage, all my ancestors are from the South. I probably would have ended up fighting for the South.
Right.
I would
Yeah.
run immediately as soon as the battle starts. I am dropping my rifle and I am running as fast as I don't care who's calling me gay.
Same.
As I'm pushing past people. I'm screaming and crying like a baby, pissing myself. I'm filling my pants with shit.
Yeah.
I'm tripping over my shit that's spilling out of the bottom of my knickers.
Yep.
I would go one further. I wouldn't even get that far. I would, like, the day they come to town, they're like, all right, all eligible men. I would go behind a barn. I'd break my own foot.
Oh,
with, like, a
yeah, you'd
hammer.
injure yourself.
And you want to know why
Interesting.
the only way you'd be able to stay around is they'd be like, "What'd you call pants?"
I kind of realized as I said it, I was like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
It's a rough one.
Especially when you're talking about hypothetically fighting for the South.
Hypothetically fighting for the Confederates.
Right. There's going to be a couple. The Patreon episode is you going, now, hypothetically, I was born in New York. I would probably go down to the South to fight for the rebel cause.
Yeah. All my family's from the royalty of the Gilded Age in Manhattan, and still,
Right. Say I was born in Nepal in the 1800s, and I was 60 around that time. I would get on a cruiser, and I'd go to I'd somehow instinctually, from my superior racism, know there was a big war happening.
I was stolen, like in 12 Years a Slave. I was sold into the Confederacy.
12 years a racist.
Still don't know what happened with the whole Civil War thing, because supposedly Robert E. Lee was one of the greatest generals to ever live. He was amazing. Like supposedly, like the South was just stacked. It was like Golden State,
Yeah, it was
and they like fumbled it.
It was
somehow.
literally just the North had black guys. That was it.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
It was like in
Yeah, it was kind of
it was like in Glory Road when they're like, how did they win the first national championship with the far superior basketball team?
The North had a bit more motivation.
Yeah.
It's so funny that they had a very racist and very qualified famous general, and his name is
Yeah.
That's funny.
That is very funny.
That's pretty funny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, you should hear his stories from Tijuana.